I made a whole new class for Dungeons & Dragons, the Element Bender. Benders in D&D with affinities in earth, air, fire, and water are defined by their connection to the elements. The class, with new spells and subclasses, is from Ryoko's Guide to the Yokai Realms, which you can pick up at the link below. But this video will take you through the class and one of the subclasses so you can play right now. Let's go. Level 1, the art of element bending. Let's start with the basics. Element benders have a D8 hit dice, same as the warlock and the monk. You start with proficiency in light armor, medium armor, simple weapons, and chakrams, shuriken, and nunchaku. You also get proficiency in strength and constitution saves, and a couple of skills. Element benders are a half casting class, like the artificer, and you start the game with 2 first level spell slots, and you end the game able to cast 5th level spells. But there are ways to cast spells of a higher level, we'll get into that later. The cool thing about benders is they don't have a generic class spell list. Instead, when you choose this class at level 1 and again at later levels, you pick an elemental affinity. You can pick from earth, water, fire, and air, and each one has their own spell list. Airbenders get lots of movement and wind-based spells. They make great skirmishers. Waterbenders get some good healing spells and some powerful control effects like Hold Person and Blood Weave. Each element has its own flavor translated through its spell list, and as such, different kinds of element benders feel very different to play, before you even get to subclasses and ability score combinations. Each element is also associated with 1 or 2 damage types. Air is thunder damage, earth is acid and bludgeoning, fire is fire and lightning, and water is cold. Basically, these are the damage types that you are connected with, and they interact with your later features. Most of the spells unique to your spell list deal these types of damage as well. They also play into your elemental strikes, which is your other first level feature. When you take the attack action, you can make an elemental strike, which is either a melee unarmed strike or a ranged attack roll. On a hit, the melee attack deals 1d6 damage and the ranged attack deals 1d4. Often you're going to be better off using a cantrip for damage, but some elemental benders really play into the unarmed fighting approach. This is especially true if you multi-class with monk to get those bonus action attacks and higher damaging unarmed strikes. The spellcasting ability modifier. The spellcasting ability for benders is interesting, and this is a big part of where their design philosophy comes in. Element bending is all about the power within you. To us, that meant whatever makes your character special, whatever drives them, whatever fits into your vision, that is where your magic comes from. This means you get to choose between intelligence, wisdom, or charisma for your spellcasting ability modifier. If you want to be a deeply intellectual element bender who studies and catalogs the natural world and bends it to their will, you can. If you want to go full-on elementalist, fueled by raw emotion, you can, by using charisma as your spellcasting ability. This flexibility means benders are great for multi-classing. A very charismatic bender will go great with warlock. A wise bender might go better with monk or druid. This is where I've got to shout out the over 20,000 people who helped playtest this, because it was hard to get right. We didn't want to make a class that was just better at being a monk than a monk, but if you do want to do the whole Aang or Tenzin thing from Avatar, you can multi-class beautifully with monk for a very powerful build. Or you can go full Storm from the X-Men, or Demon Slayer if you prefer. It's not about just having the Avatar class, it's about having a class that's flexible enough to allow you to explore whatever fantasy you want. At second level, you get Elemental Combo. After you take the attack action or use an action to cast a spell, you can make an elemental strike as a bonus action, but you don't add your ability score modifier to the damage of that attack. This is kind of like 2-weapon fighting, but with your elemental strikes, and the damage increases as you level up. At third level, you choose your bender discipline, aka your subclass. We'll talk more about subclasses at the end. Then at fourth level, like all other classes, you get an ability score increase or a feat. Fifth level gets you extra attack and access to second level spells. Remember, the spells you can choose are dictated by the element you have affinity with. That's important because 6th level is where things get really exciting.
I've lived a long life, a good life, but now my time has come. What? What happened? Where am I? Hello, soldier! Why am I here? I died! Death is just the beginning, soldier! Now go kill that thing! What? You thought dying meant the adventure was over? Huh! Dying is just another path to totally awesome stuff.
What is this?
This is Erevan's Guide to Death and Beyond.
Erevan's Guide is a 350-page tome of epic adventure. 10 undying megabosses, over 10 profane lairs, new death and resurrection mechanics, 75 unholy monsters, 12 plus dark subclasses, and over 6 haunting new races. It's also made by Arch-Villain Games, the folks who made the Ryoko's Guide Kaiju Mini for Nomi, the Colossal Kabuto. And there's tons more epic minis here. Erevan's Guide has everything you need to create haunting, cursed stories for your games. Death isn't the end, it's part of the adventure. Turn your TPK into a TP, yay! Back now on Kickstarter, link below. Elemental Affinity 2, Electric Boogaloo. 6th level is here, and that means it's time for a second Elemental Affinity. You choose a new element to attune with. So if you started with fire, you could now choose water, earth, or air, and gain access to their spell lists. This represents a huge expansion in your spell options. But you have a choice, because you could also pick the same element you already have again. If you do this, all spells you cast from that spell list are cast 1 level higher than the spell slot you expend. So if you picked the fire element at 1st level and the fire element again at 6th level, those 2nd level spells are going to be cast at 3rd level. That's an extra beam on every scorching ray, an extra person you can target with invisibility, and extra damage on every heat metal. In short, choosing only one element makes you very powerful in that element, whereas choosing many makes you more versatile. There are other benefits to these choices too that we'll get into later. 7th level is your second subclass feature and the optional improved extra attack. That's a new feature from Ryoko's. Every martial and half martial class get access to their own special version of extra attack, which provides a bit more power and flavor. 8th level is another ability score increase or feat, and 9th level gives you access to your 3rd level spells. Level 10 is your next elemental affinity, and once again you get to choose. You could learn another element to expand your list. Perhaps you want to go waterbender because you really like the look of Hypnotic Pattern. Or you could choose the same affinity you already have again, meaning every spell you cast with it is upcast by 2 levels. That 3rd level fireball is now a 5th level fireball. If that sounds tempting, it should, because it's awesome, but going for many different elements has benefits too. At 11th level you get Primordial Form. As a bonus action, you can choose one element for which you have affinity and embody that energy. This gives 2 benefits. 1. You can now cast 1st level spells from your element spell list even if you haven't prepared them, and casting them doesn't cost a spell slot. Note that these free spells won't get upcast, they'll always be at 1st level, even if you have multiple affinities in the same element. 2. You gain a special benefit depending on the element you choose. Air gives you resistance to bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage. Fire lets you deal damage equal to your Bender spellcasting modifier to creatures of your choice within 10 feet of you at the end of every single turn. Earth gives you a straight up +2 to your AC. And water gives you a pool of vitality equal to 5 times your Bender level. So at this level, that's 55 points. Then at the end of your turn, you can heal up to 3 creatures within 5 feet of you for 5 hit points each, expending your vitality points as you do so. It's basically a little bit of free local healing until it runs out. You can only do this once per long rest, and as you'll have noticed, taking multiple affinities means you can choose the bonus that you want depending on the given situation. That flexibility is awesome. 12th level is another ability score increase, and 13th level gets you access to your 4th level spells. Then 14th level gets you your final elemental affinity choice. If you've been counting, you'll realize that that means at this level, you could have affinity with every element, accessing the entire Bender spell list. Alternatively, you could have mastered only one element, giving every spell you cast from your spell list a free upcasting of 3 levels. That's big. Of course, you could also have mixed and matched, taking 2 affinities each in earth and water, for example. Next is 15th level, getting you another subclass feature, and 16th level is another ability score increase or feat. 17th level gets you your 5th level spell slots, but of course, if you've invested all in one element, those 5th level spells will be cast at 8th level. Everyone's chill until the waterbender starts throwing down an 8th level dominate person. bloodbenders know what I'm talking about. At 18th level, you get probably the coolest feature of all, Primordial Avatar. This is a full-on transformation into your elemental form. It costs an action, and you can only do it once per long rest, but it lasts for 10 minutes. To start, you get 50 temporary hit points, and then you get 4 abilities. These abilities are dictated by the elements you have affinity with. Each element has 4 abilities like this, so if you have 2 affinities in air and 2 affinities in water, you'd get the first 2 abilities from each table. In this case, that would mean a flying speed, a swimming speed, an immunity to thunder and cold damage, and an immunity to being grappled and restrained. Essentially, yeah, this is where you enter the Avatar state, or when Storm goes full Omega Mutant mode. At 19th level, you get your final ASI or feat, and at 20th level, you get your final subclass feature. In Ryoko's guide, there are 4 subclasses: Fortification, Ferocity, Fusion, and Invigoration. Let's be helpful elementalists and pick the Invigoration subclass today. Starting at 3rd level, these spells are added to your Bender spell list, no matter your affinity, and they're always prepared. You also get a flat +1 to your hit points for every level you have in this class. Essentially, the Invigoration subclass turns your D8 hit die into a D10. You are extra dummy thick. Finally, you get a sort of guidance effect. When a creature within 30 feet of you fails an attack roll or saving throw, you can give it a rejuvenating boost. You use your reaction, and that creature can re-roll that save or attack, potentially turning a fail into a success. They also get to add your spellcasting ability modifier to the result. However, you can only do this a number of times equal to your spellcasting ability modifier per long rest, so save it for those key saving throws or crucial attacks. At 7th level, you get a similar ability, except it's evil. Now, when you deal damage to a creature, you can cause an elemental effect to discombobulate them. That creature then has a 1d8 penalty to the next attack roll or saving throw it makes before the end of its next turn. Once again, you can do this a few times per long rest. At 15th level, the power of your primordial transformations extends beyond your body. Now, whenever you're in your primordial form or primordial avatar state, whenever you cast a leveled spell that targets an ally, you can give that ally an additional benefit. You can end one negative condition that target is suffering from this list. You can give them a d6 bonus to the next attack roll or saving throw they make before the end of their next turn. That creature can use its reaction to make a single weapon attack, or that creature can use its reaction to move up to half its speed without provoking opportunity attacks. Even if your spell targets multiple allies, you still only get to pick one to give the benefit to. Still, it's really nice. It makes powerful support spells like Healing Word, Haste, or Bless even better. Your level 20 feature is awesome. When you enter your primordial avatar state, you can grant up to 5 willing creatures within 30 feet of you access to one of your level 1 affinity benefits. So if you're an airbender, you can give the whole crew a flying speed, or if you're a firebender, you can have everyone throwing out extra fire damage on their first hit each turn. Share the love, and when I say love, I do of course mean murder. All in, benders are an extremely versatile class that you can mold to fit what you want to play or what your party needs. They have tons of great utility spells and can pump out some pretty reasonable damage. Your damage options will increase if you specialize in only one element, but then the damage types you have access to become more restricted. The Disciple of Ferocity gives you extra damage if that's what you want. Disciple of Fusion is all about combining elements to create unusual, powerful effects, and Disciple of Fortification makes you a stalwart spellcasting tank. The PDF with all this information is linked below. Go try it out, and thanks to everyone who supported and playtested this, it wouldn't have been possible without you. It's been amazing to see the subclass evolve while staying so fun and maintaining its identity throughout the playtest. If you want the full class with all the subclasses, all the spells, and just like a ton more stuff, it's all in Ryoko's Guide to the Yokai Realms, which you can grab right now from BackerKit, link below. The entire team behind this book kicks ass, not just at their jobs, not just as creatives, but as human beings. They're awesome. Shout out to everyone who worked on or supported or playtested Ryoko's Guide for coming along on this journey and making it the best D&D book ever made. Enjoy the Element Bender, grab the free PDF to explore, and yeah, remember to check out other videos on the channel, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.